The songs that have made household names of Damon Albarn and Blur, songs like Girls and Boys, Park Life and Country House, have been cheery Cockney sing-alongs, but spiky social satire has always figured just as much in the Blur output. Damon, a Londoner, was raised by liberal artistic parents. He joined up with the bassist, guitarist and drummer and formed a band called Seymour. They changed their name to Blur, released a debut album called Leisure, and despite a few hiccups here and there, they've never looked back since. Their fourth album, The Great Escape, is Blur's worldwide coming of age. Okay, Damon, as regards the biggest band tags, did you ever think it was going to get this big?
Well, it's been a very gradual thing for us. It hasn't been as simple.
Sure, but it's still huge.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as huge as it could have been. I think, you know, we sort of reach periods of plateau and then we have to come out with another really good concept idea, and it goes on to another level or stays at the same level. I don't know. I mean, I did go for a period when I did see it in that very black and white terms of play this place and then play a place bigger and sell more records. But the whole thing with Oasis kind of, you know, it really changed my opinion on that. I did start to sort of realise I was just becoming what I supposedly was sort of the antidote to.
But do you think in some ways then that whole Oasis thing has been quite good, since you've just mentioned Oasis now? I mean, on one level it was actually quite good to feel the whole thing, just as a laugh, you know, as the two main bands.
Yeah, it wasn't in that sense, but I think it really, I mean, the only thing I can say that I genuinely feel we lost out on was that the tabloids turned it into such a sort of black and white middle class versus working class, that you got a whole body of people who beforehand had enjoyed our songs because they were just pop songs, but because of the constant tabloid sort of suggestion that I was in some way looking down on people.
Yeah.
But they decided, well, I was looking down on them, and from that point onwards, it wasn't, you know, didn't want to really listen to it anymore because they felt it was in some way condescending. I mean, it changed overnight from you get a kind of lads on a Saturday night. I mean, it never got really bad, but I mean, there was a point where every lad in the street would go, all right, there's a guy, geezer, and then they sort of split into two, and everyone, you know, it changed for no reason other than they'd read it in the Sun. And I hate to be that simplistic about it, but that definitely had something to do with it.
Do you ever think in some ways in terms of interviews, and like take the Sun and take the tabloids, that you have been a victim of your own honesty in some ways?
Yes, but that's okay. I mean, I don't mind that, really. Yeah. I don't view myself as a victim. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Yeah. I'm not a victim at all. I just, I mean, I've always seen it as a kind of, whatever happens, I'll react to it, and that's how I'll make music, you know, as a reaction to whatever happens. So, you know, it's never seemed odd to me to suddenly react to something. I mean, a lot of bands, they seem to just do what they do, and they're very blinkered about it, and they never actually change. And I've never been like that, you know. If the whole thing of the tabloids has affected me in a way that I was sort of, I use it from the music. I don't sort of feel a victim or all that bollocks.
Well, then, like, I mean, you've been quite light-hearted about your approach to fame. You've taken it sort of well, I imagine. Is that? I
think fairly well. I think I'm pretty well sorted out of it now.
Yeah. But has a lot of that to do with your upbringing and the way you were brought up and the kind of environment in which you were brought up?
Yeah, it must have something to do with that. Well, I don't think my parents have ever been impressed by any money I've earned. And, you know, they've been really very sceptical about my kind of, my laddishness. So, you know, put those together and I have to basically be who I am with them.
Fine, but let's go back then. Laddish, do you think in some ways you were able to hand over the mantle of laddishness, if you like, to Liam and Noel?
Well, yeah, they've taken it. I mean,
That's pretty good then, isn't
they
it?
do it a lot better than I do. You know, for me, with the whole football thing, which is another thing which I seem to sort, I'm not allowed to play football, although I've played at Wembley now and I'm playing at Stamford Bridge, which, you know, obviously is a result of being famous. But I mean, I used to play football when I was a kid, and then I stopped playing, and because at my school you either were into music and drama or you played sports, and the two things were at the same time and I just chose sport. I mean, music, so I just gave up on all of that, you know, and I've just sort of rediscovered it, and there's a real, and it's the same here in Ireland, there's a real kind of sort of, people have a problem with authenticity, and it's kind of, you have to have done it since birth, otherwise it's not real, you know, and no one is like that.
I mean, you were into drama, I mean, repertory, all this kind of stuff.
I still am.
I mean, somebody called it chimney sweep music at one stage once. Do you understand the reference and accept it? To a point.
No, I don't accept it, because that's just a dig. I mean, if they had said it was music hall,
yeah, right,
I would say yes. But chimney sweep music is just someone who doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you call Lionel Bart chimney sweep music then, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, he's one of the best British songwriters there's ever been.
What did Lionel Bart do that I don't know about? I mean, what's so special about him?
Well, apart from Oliver,
Yeah.
he wrote a heck of a lot of sort of early British pop singles for people like Cliff Richard and Hero, Tear from Russia with Love.
He was a bit of a wild man too, wasn't he?
Amazingly so.
Yeah. Had wild parties abroad and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Would you want me to, my anecdote about...
Have you got an anecdote?
I've got a great anecdote.
Great.
Great